In today's video, I want to talk about this topic that gets brought up pretty frequently. I would say it gets brought up in just regular real life conversations. It gets talked about online a lot. Here's a Vsauce video from a year ago with 16 million views. Did people used to look older? I say yes. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna deny that. I think it's really undeniably clear that people used to look older. And whatever you think the excuse is, that's gonna be the difference, I guess. What's your excuse for why people look older? And I'll provide what I think is not an excuse, but the reason. I think that I know the reason personally, and it makes sense to me. It's just another thing that I think anybody can admit if they're willing to think for themselves. And so I guess I'll just get into it. I think that this is a result of time moving more quickly, or the days being shorter. And yes, if day-night cycle lengths remained constant through all of history, then you would expect a 17-year-old's always going to look like a 17-year-old. However, if the day-night cycle is variable and days can be shortened, which I believe they can, and I believe they have, then you could exist the same amount of days, but you're actually spending less time here. So a 17-year-old has still been around for 17 years of days. It's just that they've lived very shorter days. Every day that they've lived their life have been shorter. I think that time acceleration has been going on. If you want to call it time acceleration, I mean, that's just a way that it makes our mind. For some reason, saying that time is moving more quickly makes more sense, but really it's just that the day-night cycle is zooming by today. It goes by so much more quickly, and the reason that it's still 24 hours is because, well, that's how 24 hours is defined. And this isn't for getting into the crazy stuff. Well, why does my watch still do it? Well, do you know exactly how your watch works? It uses a vibrating crystal, and I think that that whatever that is can tell when the sun moves faster. It just automatically compensates for that. That's my explanation for why haven't the clocks gone crazy? Well, the clocks use crystals to take care of the timekeeping stuff. So unless you know specifically how that works, then, it may as well be magic how a watch works. Well, I just know what I see with my eyes and what I see when I go outside, and things like this in the media. So not that the media is a good representation of reality or known for telling the truth, but it's something that people can relate to because we've all run into this, watching old stuff, and people point out, hey, did you know that this character was only supposed to be like 30 years old, and in today's standards they look like super old. You don't start looking like this on the left until your 40s, these years, these days, whatever. And then being 30 in 2024 on the right there. And I mean, there's so much that you could get into this stuff. You can really start splitting hairs because not all humans age the same. You got a whole class of people out there that pump their children full of hormones to have enhanced puberties. So you're still going to have people that look busted and old today, but it's all about statistically the average. Statistically, the average today, the average high schooler looks so young compared to the average in times past. 1961, Queens, New York, Van Buren High School yearbook. So I don't think it's all just the way that they were dressed. I think that when you go back and you flip through 70s, 60s, even the 80s, the 90s, I think that time really started to move more quickly in the year 2000, or possibly before, I don't know, but so anything 80s and before, I think you're going to see that the high schoolers looked older. They look like college age kids today, I believe. That old high school kids look just like college kids, and sometimes even older. Like this lady looks like already a family woman, basically. So some of that, I do agree, some of that comes down to styling. Looking old-fashioned is going to make your perception maybe thinking that they're a little bit older, but it's not enough. It's just, it doesn't explain all of it. And I'll just point this out. The younger you are, the less the time acceleration thing has had to make you look more young. So it really is more noticeable in older people. I guess I'll just go back to this to talk for a second about that. I think it's really noticeable when it comes to people that are like 70 years old. I think that in times past, 70-year-olds looked very old. They looked old. Like, by the time you're 70 years old, people might call you a geezer in times past. Nowadays, I think my dad is basically 70 or close to it, and he really still looks fairly youthful. Not saying he looks young, but not like an old man yet. And yeah, I think he's almost 70 years old. And myself personally, I'm supposed to be turning 37. And yeah, I believe that's like the number of days I've existed, but the days today are so short. If we were teleported back to how long the days were when I grew up in the 90s, I think that my real age should probably be like 30. Now looking at myself, I'm like, okay, you look like yourself, maybe not even 30, like nearing 30. And that's how fast time has accelerated since the 2000s. I think that literally years have been cut off at this point. If compared to if we had been living in the slow 90s and before day-night cycle. I really think we've lost enormous chunks of time. I mean, who believes that 24 years has passed since the year 2000? That just seems incredible to me. Well, yeah, I guess the point that I was saying with this is I think that you're going to see this even more. I mean, just the math checks out this way. The older people are, the more you're going to notice it. 70-year-olds today really do look like they're in their 50s. And I don't know, leave in the comments, where do you see this? Because the thing with the high schoolers, their age is so young, and if you have accelerated puberties and, you know, that some people just age a lot faster. And so, and it's like an average thing. You are going to be able to find people today that look like a mess and they're only 18. They already have lost all their hair. But that's not what this is about. It's not about finding counterexamples. It's about looking at it in general. In general, today, people look so much younger than they used to. So these are high school seniors today. Or not even today. This isn't even today. When was this? 2023. Okay, so last year. This is pretty recent. Just want to give you an idea of what high school seniors look like today. You're still going to get some youthful looking people, but more like college. This just reminds me of college kids today. And this is, I don't know what year these people are supposed to be, but the girls especially look very mature for high school. When was this? These were pretty cool. 1986 Los Angeles High School. Not the best quality. Well, that is it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. God bless everyone.